Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the formerly called Coffee with Coaches podcast. We're transitioning to Conversations with Coaches, which is just a little more literal. So we like that. I'll be drinking coffee, but we'll be having a conversation, and that's the important part. I am your host, Kevin, and today I have with me coffee drinker, tea drinker, coffee drinker, coffee drinker.
Coffee, intravenously.
Nice. This is Samantha Pitre Quillen. Samantha has coached clients at all levels, from CEOs to interns and everything in between, and traveled extensively to teach people how to find career clarity, take their seat at the table, and make real impact in the spaces they occupy. With over 15 years of HR experience in the corporate and startup worlds, she understands that success, and I love this line so much, success is the intersection of opportunity and experience. Samantha, thank you for that line. It's a beautiful way to sum up what success is. It's very succinct, very deep. I love it. And thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm super thrilled about the opportunity and I can't wait to chat.
Awesome. Well, let's just go ahead and get started. And let's get started at the start. Begin at the beginning, your superhero origin story, as I sometimes like to say. How did you become/realize that you were a coach? Like, did someone tell you, or did you just kind of behave like a coach for a while and suddenly realize, like, oh, there's actually a name for who I am and what I do. I should do that. And how did you go from there to beginning a coaching practice?
Sure. So I'll tell a story.
Ooh,
and I was the head of people operations at a small startup. And my personality has always been dive into your work, do good work, show your results. And so I was pitching to our CEO a learning management software platform that I thought would really revolutionize the way we were developing talent and the way that we were intersecting with our succession planning and strategic planning and all of that. And at the same time, our head of sales was pitching to have our CRM ran. And our CEO explained that he wasn't going to have enough capacity to do both projects and asked us to prepare business cases and he would make a decision. So we did that. I presented my business case. He said, and he was like, this is great. Let me take a couple days. I'll come back to you. In the meantime, it was our monthly birthday celebration for the team. And I went to the event and I noticed that the team that was putting on, the individuals that were putting on the event were struggling to cut cake. As the daughter of two amazing bakers, I've been cutting cake since I was 8 and often had my life threatened if I messed up cutting the cake. So I jumped in, started cutting cake, project managing where the cake distribution should go, all of the things. And while I was doing that, covered in cake, covered in icing, sticky, the whole deal, I looked over and the head of sales and our CEO were having this chat. They were laughing, they were joking, they were really just having a good time. And I kept cutting cake. 2 days later, our CEO came back and said that he was going to go with the CRM overhaul that our head of sales had suggested. And it was in that moment that I realized they were playing different games. It wasn't play chess versus playing checkers. They were playing poker. And all of the people that I interacted with every single day that were putting their heads down, looking to do good work, really looking to be the best employees that they could be, that wasn't the game. And if I didn't know the game for that long in my career, other people didn't know that game either. And so in becoming a coach, it started with doing the referrals, friends of friends, just helping out, jumping in, solving problems where you could. And going to being a coaching practice was because I began to understand there are so many people out here who just don't have the community. They don't have the community, so they don't have the support. They don't have safe places to go to workshop problems, to brainstorm ideas, all of the things, strategize. Like, a lot of folks were out here with just no career plan. They were just out here playing pinball, bouncing from this opportunity to that opportunity. Maybe somebody was kind enough to show them some new opportunity that they didn't know existed, but they weren't being strategic. They didn't create communities and networks that were really designing them to have real clarity about what they wanted to do, to make impact in the spaces that they were occupying, to claim their seats at leadership tables. And notice I said claim. And I'm so big on that word claim because I think people have earned the seat already. It's just a question of if you're going to claim your seat or not. And it's almost like luggage, right? Like, it's yours. You packed it. You checked it. But are you going to claim it? And so that was how I became a coach. And that's how I started a coaching, practice. And really felt like it was necessary because I could see all of the gaps. And the last thing I'll say to that point is, I recognized that there was no place as adults, once you get out of college, even when you talk about graduate school, maybe there's a little bit of conversation, but there's no place to go to learn this. There's no place that's really teaching this anymore, right? Like, after school, where do you go to talk about networking or strategic brand awareness or promoting your brand or brand evangelizing?
Yeah. And people like to talk about being lifelong learners, but a lot of times you just look at the way our lives are structured, our society is structured. You educate up to a certain point, and then that's it. You're done getting education because you go to school, you go through high school, you go to college, you go maybe even as far as you go, you get a master's degree, you get a doctorate if you can get that in whatever field that you happen to be in, you go as far as you can, and then you're done. It's like, but no, that's not the way life actually works. And you have all these people like you're identifying them perfectly, who are just out in the world. They've learned a ton from schooling, and they have a ton more to learn. They know that, they want that, but there's nowhere for them to go, no one for them to turn to, not in an organized way. Like you were saying, it happens sort of ad hoc here and there. You get lucky, you stumble on a person, you find a mentor, someone takes an interest in you, etc. But what you're talking about, and I like that you really emphasize the word strategy. Like, what's the plan for you to get these skills that you need, this knowledge that you need, this awareness that you need to play the right games at the right times while still being the kind of person who's out there cutting cake? You don't want to stop helping people, but you do want to be playing the right games to get where you want to go. I love this so much. Obviously, it's like, there's so many different places to go from there. I love it.
It's so important. And I think that it is about strategy, and my exposure in startup environments has helped me to understand that the world is about metrics and strategy. If you don't have an action plan, if you don't have a roadmap, you're really just out doing a lot. But is it effective? Is it productive? Is it important? And as I'm dating myself maybe, but as a Franklin Covey, sort of convert years and years and years ago, really, is it important? Am I doing the urgent or not urgent and important tasks? And I think part of what defines important for us is, or should be, what do we want? Most of us don't know that.
That's frightfully, scarily true. You think about that, it's like, what do you want? Like, if you just ask someone that question, they might have an answer. They want, career advancement, or they want like a certain size of house in a certain location. Like, they'll have like an answer. But then if you just ask them again, it's like, what do you want though? I mean, I know that those are things, and that or something like a career or a role or whatever, it represents something that you want, but what do you want? And usually it's much more of a feeling or a state of being. They want not necessarily, the house, but they want the comfort and sense of home that can bring, and to be able to maybe raise a family. And there's always like more to their answer than what they first present. And it's a scary question to ask somebody. What do you want? What do you really want? Because the implications can be well, life-changing, to put it frankly.
It can be. And I think that when you think about it, we also have not, after a certain point, that's not a muscle that we encourage people to use anymore. Because now we want people to be practical. We want people, when you're a little kid, you get to dream super big and super outlandishly. You get to say, I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a superhero. I want to be a tennis player, a basketball player. You get to say, I want to play football, basketball, and lacrosse, right? You get to do all of it. And the older as we progress, and people interject things like practicality, like we start to understand like difficultness, priority, all of the things. And I think that it's that lack of, one of the things that I do about clarity is like dream big. Like I tell people all the time, channel your inner 6-year-old who wants to be a firefighter, an astronaut, a race car driver, and a biophysicist, right? Like channel your inner 6-year-old. Like what do you like? And that is a muscle that in many of us, especially as adults, has atrophied unless we are proactively going back and really trying to use it.
Yeah, a good friend of mine once put it to me in a particular way that really kind of stuck with me. Is that you can only grow as big as your biggest dream, which when I first heard it, I was like, oh, that sounds cute. I kind of like, I didn't dismiss it, but I was like, oh, that's a cute turn of phrase. I like that. Then I've kind of like sat with that for a while in my life, for years. I'm just like, there's some real truth to that kind of statement, and I love that encouragement to dream like a 6-year-old, because I think back to when I was 6, and man, I mean, I was having weird dreams. I was like, the things that I wanted was like, like be an astronaut or whatever, but why not? Just like let yourself dream to that, whatever size you can dream to, and then, find your way from there. I love that. It's so, and I think you're right. People don't realize that they not only can, but should still be dreaming like that.
Definitely.
Let's move into the nuts and bolts of your coaching business. The way I like to ask this it kind of captures a lot of where this conversation can go. Who do you coach and how do you coach them? So the who obviously being like the, what positions, professional, personal, CEOs to interns. We've already kind of covered your spectrum. And then the how being, do you focus on one-to-one coaching or one-on-one coaching, small teamwork? Maybe like keynote speeches, even like, book writing or course creation. So who do you coach and how do you coach them?
My clients are women and professionals of color. And we've already covered CEOs to interns. However, they are people who understand that they're wherever they are on the life cycle of their career, they understand that they are seeking and needing support and community and guidance. So that they really understand that they don't want to do this thing called a career alone. And when I talk about the life cycle of a career, that's developing. Those are that early stage in the careers as you're an intern or early stage professional who's looking to try new things, explore, get into some things, figure out some things you really don't want to ever do again. And oh, I like this. I could do that. Or maybe you're looking for external transitions. Now you're in a space where you're clear on where you want to go, what you want to do. Now you're looking for the right cultural fit for an organization that really speaks to who you are and what you do and how you enjoy doing it. Maybe you're looking for an internal promotion. You're looking to just get ahead and to take that next leap. Maybe you're looking for people management and really ready to lead a team of your own. And the last sort of phase, if you will, of a career journey, in my opinion, is a person who's looking to now spread their thought leadership, that's really looking to get how they view the world and see this industry, this profession, the work that they have done to share their best practices and expertise and design the future of this kind of their kind of work. So we really create opportunities, whether that's one-on-one coaching, masterminds, groups. We create opportunities for that, and for them to get that support, for them to find that community, for them to really have a place to talk through a salary negotiation, for instance.
Ooh, big one.
to weigh job opportunities. One of the things that I realized that really was part of the impetus is, I mean, as I reflect on my own career, I remember when I, quote unquote, made more than my parents. And it was one of those moments where I got a job offer, and I thought it was a lowball offer, but where was I gonna go to discuss that this 6-figure offer for a head of people operations was a lowball offer? Was I gonna go to my parents who in their entire career journey had not made that much money? Was I gonna go to my friends who didn't do what I did, and some of them thought that was a really, a good offer? Or was I going to go to my friends that were investment bankers who were like, that's my bonus check? Where was I going to go? And I realized that without having a real community of people that understood what I was going through, even in how I felt about the lowball offer, and not being in community with people who understood what I was, what I needed to do strategically to negotiate a higher offer, it was a lonely place. And so much of what I now know and see is that people make mistakes just because they're only getting advice from themselves or from other people who don't know either. And either way, it's bad advice. And the only way to get or improve or get better advice is to really be in a situation where you have folks that just know and can help and share best practices. We do not have courses beautiful. At the moment, but that is coming.
That's good, cool. That's okay. I'll get back to that in just a second. I had this image as you were talking of someone walking down a path that had been walked down by thousands and thousands and thousands of people before, but they're walking on it alone. And they also can't quite see the path. It's like it's this weird combination of, it's like, there are so many people who exist who know exactly what you're going through right now, and you don't have access to them. And it's just like, that shouldn't be. That should not be the case.
Well, and I think one of the problems is also we use terms that we've never defined and never shown, right? Networking. Everybody, like, we've all heard that term. If you said, do you know what networking is? There's literally no human being alive that's going to say no. However, when I say things like, well, what's your strategy? When I say things like, well, what's your nurture pattern look like? When I suggest to people that that they're sending emails that don't speak to their value propositions, they are like, what? Who? You mean I just don't say, hey, I think you're interesting? Do you want to have coffee? Like, you mean there's more science and art and skill than that? And it's like, yes. I see people do this daily that are networking is, we also have vilified networking. People are like, oh yeah, I know what it is. When you need a job, you call up a bunch of people and tell them you need a job. And it's like, no. And we don't have, one of the fundamental pieces is we don't talk about what these things actually are. We don't talk about, even when we talk about like finding a new job, everybody's like, oh, you just get a resume that can get through an ATS, an applicant tracking system. And I'm like, no, honestly, that's not effective either. No. Just applying isn't the key either. So really helping folks to unlearn some things and giving them new perspective and new strategy on other things is so important.
Man, you are clearly, I have so many, I have questions conceptual, I have questions specific, like you seem like you basically you have the full spectrum. You have the concepts, you have the strategies, you have the tactics, the details, the redefinitions, the exhortations to dream, how to dream. It's like You've got it all, if you don't mind me saying.
Thank you.
Where can people find out more about you? Where can people connect with you, engage with you? How do you like to meet people for the first time when they just want to know more about who you are and how you coach and maybe how you can help them?
So the first step is our website, creatingmissjones.com. And that is a great place. Actually, I just got off a phone call not too long ago as we are revamping and retooling it so that folks that get there can really find things so much more easily, as well as have access to this wealth of a library of information that I'm just kind of sitting on and not getting out. So, but the first way they can get to us is creatingmissjones.com. It is definitely going later this summer. We are launching a blog that is really that I'm really excited about, where I'm letting folks submit questions, and every week we're just going to answer questions that I think are going to be hugely beneficial to both folks that follow me as well as to new folks that just come in and just can scroll through and be like, I wonder if she's got a post about such and such. They can also find us on Instagram. We are at Creating Miss Jones. It's the same handle. And there we're doing a little bit of everything. We're doing some Q&A stuff some days. We're doing some motivation. Sometimes you just need a little pep. We're doing some motivation. We're doing some Q&A. I'm always asking for feedback. So there's nothing for me to have a poll on Instagram at all. And we are also later this year, we will also have a YouTube channel by the same name.
Oh, okay. I was actually just going to ask about that. It's like, it sounds like a YouTube channel is like, if you don't already have it going, it's in your near future, because everything, your approach, the Q&A, the accessibility, people are going to want to see, people want to see you and your people just talk and share.
And the YouTube channel, we hope, is going to be one of the things that I am huge about. Everyone doesn't necessarily gravitate towards my style, and nor should they. We all have preferences. We all are a little unique. And so one of the reasons I wanted, to my head of operations and from my team's perspective, so I have an operations head who's like, can we just do one thing for a minute, please? Like, no, sorry. But one of the reasons I wanted a YouTube channel was so that I could bring all of my favorite other coaches to have conversation as well. I wanted to, because I know that I'm not going to start naming all of the coaches that I think are so incredibly talented.
We'll be here all day.
Because we'll be here all day, or I'll forget somebody and they'll be upset. But I want to bring all of those voices because I think that there's space for all of us. When we look at how many people are in the workforce, we know that there's a person for everybody, and there's a coach for everybody in that same breath. So I really want to leverage the channel to be able, yes, to connect and talk to the clients that gravitate towards me specifically, but also to share and open them up and maybe expose them to some coaches that they didn't know existed, but they also will gravitate to as well.
Oh, I love that. That's right. Like near and dear to my heart, obviously, because that's a big part of what we do with this little podcast. It's just letting people know that there are as many different kinds of coaches as they can imagine, and that there is a coach for them. And that it's one thing that I have found it sounds corny, but it's heartwarming the way that the entire coaching industry, every single coach I've spoken to, which at this point is over 100, and just for this podcast, they all understand that they have something tremendous to bring to the kind of people who would be a good fit for their coaching. And they understand that not everyone will be. And they know at least 3 or 30 other coaches where they'll be like, you know what? I might not be the coach for you, but you know who I think might be? This person, this person, and this person. And it's something, it's so universal across the coaching industry. I just love being a part of it and getting to amplify it just a tiny bit. And I love that you're doing the same.
Well, and I think what's so important is we see, whatever your genre, whatever your specialty or your niche is, you also see the bad folks out there. And so you want to share all of the other great people who are doing great work to almost silence or quiet some of those bad voices. So the fact that I can bring you, and the difference is, and I'm sure for you as well, but I'm bringing you folks that I'm backing. I'm saying, yes, this is a good one. It's almost like, you know, when your really good friend gives you a restaurant review recommendation, you're like, okay, well, so and so said that they like it and they're a foodie, so I'm going to go with that as well. That has a really different weight than just reading Yelp reviews. So, and I think especially in the career coaching space, there are so many folks out there that are just, there's so much noise out there that I think having somebody say, hey, look, you know what, if I'm not for you, that's okay, but this person is really good, or this person, or like you said, the 30 other ones that I can interact with and expose you to. I think that that's so important.
And I really love something that you said right out, and it's something I hadn't quite thought about in this way before, or I have, but I love that it came to light right here at the end of our conversation, is that the way to quiet or move the more toxic voices out of the conversation is not to shush them, but I mean, sometimes someone needs a good shush, but really it's to elevate the voices that have something to bring, to elevate the positive voices, the useful voices, the voices that are committed to the service. Like, it's elevate the right voices. And that's the way to quiet the maybe not so right ones. I feel so powerful. I love that.
Well, and I also think it's because, you know, as we all know that, and I agree with you, some people just need to be silenced, but for the most part, silencing a voice without amplifying the good voices, there's another one that's going to come right back. It's sort of like whack-a-mole, right? The bad voices, they're going to reform, and they're going to pop back up. So if you are just silencing bad voices, that's going to be a full-time job. Whereas if you're amplifying good voices, they really will at some point drown out the toxic voices, and they will give people the ability, because they will have, you know, more of those good voices, to also ask better questions, even of the toxic folks, to some degree, so that you don't have to even shush the toxic folks. They'll just sort of not, they won't select them, and that way they'll just kind of fizzle and die on their own.
Man, I have already taken up more of your time than I scheduled, and I feel like I could take up a lot more, but I'm gonna make myself stop talking to you now. Samantha, you're fantastic. Thank you so much for talking to me today. Thank you so much for being who you are. I love everything that you represent, the way that you communicate yourself, the work that you're doing. I love it. I am pleased to have just been a tiny little part of it today. So thank you for talking with me, for being here, and for doing what you do.
Thank you so much for having me. I greatly appreciate it. And yeah, I appreciate the work that you do for coaches. I think a lot of times we forget that our voices are necessary because there's so much noise in the world. And sometimes it's really great to be in a space with someone who's trying to amplify good voices. So thank you again for this opportunity. And I am just honored to have been part of it.
Awesome. We'll keep all this good work going. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening, everybody who's listening to this. Reach out, find Samantha, learn more about her, connect with her. You already know you won't be sorry. So anyway, just wanted to say that. Love you all. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.